Okay, you guys. So second part here. I just want to make a note that you'll notice that this line of symmetry on a parabola, okay? Remember the line of symmetry? In other words, where this parabola is going to fold in half and match on the graph. In the example here was x equals -1. Okay, and remember that is the x coordinate of your vertex. And this will always work no matter what in a parabola, because it does have this symmetry that is kind of nice, because then we can check. We can check algebraically and we can check visually. All right, I'm going to the second page of the notes. It says, what is the vertex of a graph? Well, the vertex of a graph is the maximum or the minimum point, okay? Vertex. It's the maximum, or the minimum point. Okay? And basically, if you have a maximum point, it's going to be like what you see here. It's going to top out. It's going to be an upside down U shape. If it's a minimum point, then you're going to have a regular U shape for your parabola. Okay, so if you look at this example here, it says, what is the vertex of the graph? Well, the vertex of the graph in this case is going to be a maximum. And I am going to look for the x and the y coordinates. So if I start at 0, I'm going to go 1 to the left for the x coordinate. So that's a -1. And then I'm going to travel up 1, 2, 3, 4 spots. So my vertex point, or the point where this parabola changes direction, I'm going to put point where parabola, some people say parabola, I like parabola, changes direction. Okay, so this one is -1, 4. Now again, looking at the domain, remember the domain is your x values that you can put into your graph. And if you look at all these x values, that's this horizontal line going back and forth, we are going to have every single x, excuse me, x value used. So the domain for this parabola is going to be all real numbers. Anything goes. We can put it in there as long as it's part of the real number family. Okay, now you have to look at the range. Looking at the range, I notice, I kind of call this a fence line. That's the limit. Okay, it doesn't go above that blue line. So I always kind of like to talk about a fence line. Everything here is below the fence line. Where does the fence line start? Well, we're talking about a height, an up and a down movement, so it's got to be the y coordinate. So my range is going to be y's that are less than or equal to the number 4. All my y values here going up and down this y-axis are going to be less than 4. 3, 2, 1, and it's going to go forever because of those arrows. Okay? All right, let's take a look at this one. We got a fraction thrown in there. And this is a little bit different because there are no, there's just an a value for our parabola. It's just 1/2. We don't have any b values or c values from our original y equals ax squared plus bx plus c for the original coordinate or original equation for our parabola. Okay, so the first thing we have to do in order to graph this is we got to find that important changing point, which is called the vertex. So how do I find the vertex? All right, well, I'm going to say x equals opposite of b over 2a. Okay, so really, if you don't see an x term here, what's the number in front of the x? Well, it's 0. So we've got nothing on the top. And 2 times a, 2 times 1/2, is 1, but does it really matter if you have 0 divided by anything? Isn't that just 0? Okay. To find the y coordinate for the vertex, so my vertex right now has an x coordinate of 0. I'm going to plug it back into my equation. So I'm going to say 1/2 0 squared. Guess what? 0 squared is 0, and 0 times anything is 0. So we have a vertex of 0, 0. And I'm going to plot that. Here's my vertex of 0, 0. All right. So now what we're going to do is we're going to make our table of values. And remember, when you do a parabola, you always want to put your vertex in the middle. This is our vertex where it changes direction. And I'm going to go below and above this value. Now you might be asking, why am I putting a 4 in for the x's? Here's the reason why. When you have a fraction like this, it's nice to pick numbers for your parabola that are divisible by the denominator of your fraction. So 2 goes into -2 and -4, and we don't get fractions. We get nice answers out. That just makes it easier to graph. So I'm going to plug some of these in. And again, remember, I'm going to do the positives first. You're taking 1/2 times x squared. This is what we are using to find our y coordinates. So 2 squared is 4, and 1/2 of 4 is 2. So I have the point +2, +2, which goes right there. I'm going to graph it. 4 squared is 16. Remember, order of operations, exponents before you multiply. 16 split in half is 8. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4 spots over, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 spots up. And I'm going to connect it as nicely and smoothly as I can and draw an arrow. I have got half of my parabola completed right now. Okay, now I am going to draw my line of symmetry. What is my line of symmetry here? My line of symmetry is the x coordinate of the vertex. So my line of symmetry is going to be 0, which is kind of nice because now I can use symmetry and I can say, all right, this point is 2 to the right of the y-axis. I can go 2 to the left, and that should be my other point. This point is 1, 2, 3, 4 to the right. I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4 to the left. And I'm going to connect them. And it should look symmetrical. If I folded this over onto this part, they would match. All right, let's double check it. Remember, when you do this and you have a negative, you are going to put parentheses around. So I know 1/2, okay, is 0.5. So I'm just going to write it as 0.5, but I'm going to put parentheses and then put -2 with parentheses and square it. And what do you know? I get a 2. And we do have symmetry happening. Those y coordinates do match. I'm going to, again, put 0.5, and I'm plugging in -4 now. And I'm going to raise it to the second power. And I do get, in fact, 8. So what I like to do is I like to graph it first, do the positive x values to get my answers, do the symmetry where I go 2 to the right, 2 to the left, and I can kind of copy it down, and then double check with algebra to make sure I'm good. All right, we're going to end with this. Remember, domain is all the x values that work. And in this case, all of your x values are all real numbers. Everything goes. Pi, fractions, negatives, positives, decimals, whole numbers, integers, they all work. Our range is going to be the y values that come out. Okay, again, remember, this is my fence line. And if I look at it, all of my line, my parabola, has above this fence line where it's y equals 0. So all my numbers up here are all positive numbers. So y is going to have to be less than, nope, y is going to have to be greater than or equal to 0. My bad. Y is greater than or equal to 0 because all my y values live above that line. All right, we're going to finish with the word problems on Wednesday because I'm going to break this down so it doesn't take so much time. And you have no homework today, just filling in these notes, and we will have an assignment for you to do tomorrow on Schoology possibly. So I hope this works. Have a good one.